So it's here, finally. This channel has been in existence for I think a month now, and I'm finally uploading a video. So this, guys, is my booktube channel. I have a makeup channel if I look familiar, or if you're here from my other channel, then you know who I am. My name's Christina, and I need to read more books. So I wanted to start this booktube channel last year, and I was a chicken and I didn't do it, so I started it this year. And we're gonna start off with something that I think will get me pushed in the right direction for actually reading some more books. My goal this year is to read 50 books, which honestly used to not be a lot for me. Like 50 was like no big deal. And ever since I graduated college, it's been really hard. I did graduate college with a literature and language degree, so I read a lot of books in college. I know a lot of things about a lot of authors, and I know a lot of writing techniques and all of that, but it kind of killed my passion a little bit. But now I'm ready to get back into it, and I figured what better way than to incorporate two things into one, and that's, let's do a Project Pan book style. So I'm basically gonna pick 5 books that I'm gonna be trying to get through. Any that I finish within the month I will do reviews on. I would like to finish all 5 in a month. I technically have the time for it, it's just me not prioritizing. So right now I'm gonna go through the books that I picked. If this is interesting to you and you want to hear more reviews from me, if you want to see more books that I'm going to read, definitely make sure to hit that subscribe button. And now let's get into these books. So I have a stackaroni right here. So I have my stack of books right here. These are all books that I already owned, and I know a lot of people are pretty against owning books, but like I said, I have a literature degree and I love books. I have always had the dream of having a library in my house one day. I'm talking like Beauty and the Beast status. And I am a rereader. I go through my books a lot, and I also write in my books because I usually do research on books because I find that the most interesting part of literature. For me, if I was to go back to school to get my master's, which I am debating about, I would like to become an English professor, and I would like to focus on I would probably focus on 19th century English writing just because it's one of my favorites, or 18th century, either one. And I like the historical part to a lot of books. I like knowing a lot about the authors, so that's kind of how my focus is. If you're wanting to know more about that, I will probably talk about those in all my reviews. I do have basically new books in this stack, but there is one reread that I reread basically every year if I get around to it. It's been a few years now, and it's time. It's time for me to reread it because it's one of my faves. So we're gonna get into my 5 books. Hopefully, for the most part, like I said, these are all books I own. I will be writing in them, I just do, and we will probably be buying more books later on. I only have one bookshelf of books right now, and I don't think that that's too bad. My family is military, my husband is in the military, so we move a lot, so it's not really great for me to have a lot of books, but it is what it is. Eventually we'll buy a house and I will have a library. But the first book I'm focusing on should be the easiest one to read because I can read excerpts of it, but it is by Kyle Gray, and it's just Raise Your Vibration. This is just like a spiritual book. So this is, a lot of you guys, if you came from my other channel, know that I just opened up to you guys talking about my social anxiety. I'm not a very religious person, but I do try to be pretty in tune to how I'm feeling. So this is just a spiritual book. So it has literally, the excerpts are called vibes. So you can read through a vibe every day, kind of get into the motion of how you want your day to go. And I feel like this will take me all month to kind of get through, or maybe a couple months, because I probably won't sit and read this. So this isn't like an ingestible book where I'm gonna be like, oh, let me dissect this. Oh, let me see how the author wrote in this way. This is more for guidance. But I feel like these kind of books are also very important. They're basically self-help books, but a little more polished. So I do want to read into this, see if there's anything that, you know, some nice techniques that I can go forward in my life to help me have a better day. So that's the first one. This one's kind of low-key, not feeling too much pressure with this guy. Second one is my reread, and this is my textbook from college that I have. I have 3 different versions of this book because, again, I'm crazy, but it's one of my favorites. This was the book that really got me interested in pursuing English as my degree, and there's so much with this author and with this book that I think a lot of people don't talk about, or it goes unnoticed, or it gets brushed under the rug in a awful modern day way, and it's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Jane Austen was a woman way before her time, and I feel like she gets so many backhanded compliments by people who don't understand what she was doing for the time period. So this is one of my favorite novels. I will love to talk about this. Again, this is my actual textbook from college, so it has all of the excerpts on the side. It has a lot of historical background. I will be reading all of that as well because it's what's the most interesting part. As you can see my highlights throughout the book. But I like to reread. Look at this. Like, I destroy my books. This is why I purchase. This is why I like hard copies, and this is why I keep them. Those poor people who have to get my books later. This is just one of my favorites. It's time for me to reread it, and this will probably be the one I will go through the fastest because I thoroughly enjoy this book. I love the style of writing from this time period. I love Jane Austen just in general. She does a lot as far as like social justice for women in these books, and a lot of people are like, oh, she's just feeding into it. There's a lot of other stuff going into like why her writing was the way it was, and for a long time she wasn't even going by her own name because women weren't even allowed to publish at the time. So I think Jane Austen was way ahead of her time. I love reading her. She's what got me into writing, and she's what got me into wanting to be an English student when I was in school. So I always got to go back to my roots at some point, and this is it. This is the book. Like I said, I have 3 different versions of it, but this is a good one just because it has a lot of extra information in it for me. So that is book number 2. This third book is one that I haven't read, and I actually found this in a secondhand store, I think in Asheville, North Carolina, when I was traveling. And this is by Barbara Kingsolver. And this is the Poisonwood Bible. It's a novel. It's apparently from Oprah's book club, but I saw it and I read the back of it and it seemed interesting. It says it's a story told by a wife and 4 daughters of Nathan Price, who was a evangelical Baptist who takes his family in mission to the Belgian Congo in 1959. So I think I just had finished The Heart of Darkness when I saw this book, and it reminded me in some ways of that, but seems very different at the same time. I'm interested to see how some of this is to Heart of Darkness in some ways. I'm sure it won't be the same kind of style, obviously, because Heart of Darkness is like this big and this is a big ol' honkin' book, but I haven't really heard anyone talk about this. It was a bestseller apparently, but I don't really hear anyone talk about this. I've never heard anything about it, so I'm interested to give it a read, see what it's about. I like kind of religious stories as well because I can dive into religion. Like I said, I'm not really that religious of a person, but I do like learning about it. I love hearing other people's religions. I love learning things about how things travel, especially like Christianity has traveled. So this seems kind of up that alley. It also is probably going to talk about a lot of post-colonial Africa in a lot of ways, and so we'll have that as well. And the history of that I think is really important to remember. And overall I think this will be a good read. I think I can learn a lot of history that way. I will probably be doing research on this, so if you are looking for more in-depth reviews, that's probably what I'm going to be. Like I said, I have a slight goal of one day being a professor, so we'll see how this goes. Maybe this will be my dipping my toes into seeing what it would be like. Next book is a book that I've had on my bookshelf literally for years, and I just always forget to read it. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this book lately, and I've had it for years. This is another book that I got in a secondhand bookstore, and it's by Jeffrey Eugenides. I don't know how to say his name correctly, but it's Middlesex. So I've heard a lot of people talk about this. I'm pretty sure this is a coming of age story. Pretty sure it's a coming of age story in some ways, and coming of age stories are some of my favorites. I mean, we're talking like Catcher in the Rye, Perks of Being a Wallflower. All of those are coming of age stories. So I'm thinking this will probably be very similar. If not, I have heard so many good things about it that I'm interested to read it, and I've literally had it for years just sitting there and not being read. So this is going to be the 4th book that I want to read, and I'm really, really pumped. If you guys have read this, let me know what you thought about it. If I should be excited, I'm excited because it would be nice to finally have it read. And then this last book was my most recent purchase, and I bought it because I was part of a book club in the area, but they have too many members, so you literally have to sign up for meetings, and then if they get filled, you can't sit in unless someone leaves. And the last like 4 meetings that they've had, so the last like 4 months of meetings, I've been on the waiting list and I can't get in. So I actually bought this for one of the meetings, and then I never got into the list, so I got mad and I didn't read it. I'm bitter, okay? So I'll Be Gone in the Dark. I am a true fan of true crime, and this is one of the big ones. This is for finding the Golden State Killer, which I live in the Golden State now, so yay. This in the true crime community got so much hype, and I'm really excited to freaking read this. I should have read it for that book club, but you know, like I said, I'm bitter. I am hyped. This will probably be the last one I read, or maybe it should be the first one I read so I can actually like sleep at some point. I don't know. I don't know what order I'm gonna read these in. I don't think it's gonna be in the order that I just put them in. I wanna read it so bad. I wanna read it so bad. This is one woman's obsessive search for the Golden State Killer, and I have just heard so many good things about it. It's just apparently a true crime fans, their bread and butter. I need to find more true crime books. I also need to just find more murder mysteries. I'm just excited. So that, guys, is my Pan Those Books series, or the TBR series for January, probably also February, but it's just what I'm going to try and read right now. And I'm really excited because I really want to get back into reading. I really want to dive back into researching and finding out all of the things about the author and giving really, really nice reviews. I'm very excited. It's been a long time since I've had to write a research paper. It's been a long time since I've had to sit in a discussion in class, and I'm ready to dive back into it because I loved that stuff and I miss it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video and if you're excited to see more on this channel, definitely let me know down in the comments. Also hit that like button, and hopefully that means I'll see all of you guys in my next video. Bye!